The mind is a magnificent instrument, capable of mapping stars, solving equations, building worlds. But in its brilliance, it forgets that it is not the sky, only the telescope. And through that lens, it often creates distance, divisions, separations, labels. It says, here is the self, there is the other. This is mine, that is not. I am this body, I am these thoughts. In this way, the mind draws lines where none exist. It builds fences across open fields. It carves rivers between souls that were never truly apart. And from these imagined borders, a sense of isolation arises. We feel cut off from nature, from each other, from something deeper we can't quite name. And so begins the search. We look outside ourselves for belonging. We chase meaning in achievements, in attachments, in endless motion. But none of it satisfies, because the ache is not for something new, but for something forgotten, a remembering. The abyss we fear, the gap between ourselves and the world, is not real. It's a shadow cast by thought, a mirage born from the mind's need to define, to separate, to control. But the truth has always been simpler. There is no gap, no distance, no other side. There is only presence, only this, and we are already within it. But the mind resists this, because to the mind, unity is terrifying. It means the end of control, the end of the narrative. It means surrender. And the mind fears surrender more than death. So it distracts, it speaks in loops, it builds stories that keep us circling the edge of silence, never falling in. But silence is not empty. It is full, brimming with everything the mind cannot grasp: peace, truth, love without cause. To step into that silence is to stop seeking and start seeing, not with the eyes of thought, but with the vision of the heart. Because the heart does not analyze, it does not divide, it recognizes, it feels, it knows. And in that knowing, the illusion dissolves, not gradually, not logically, but instantly, like mist under sunlight. What we were searching for was never lost. It simply could not be found in the maps of the mind, only in the presence of the heart. The heart doesn't speak in words. It doesn't need to. Its language is stillness, resonance, truth without argument. And in this silence, something begins to shift. Where the mind seeks to understand, the heart simply is. Where the mind asks, "Who am I?" the heart answers without speaking, a soft certainty that flows through the body like warmth. No name, no shape, but real. More real than thought, more ancient than memory. This is how the heart crosses the abyss, not by conquering it, but by realizing it was never there, that the separation was a dream, a convincing one, yes, but a dream nonetheless. The ego, That mental construct we mistake for ourselves depends on separation. It thrives on contrast, me versus you, inside versus outside, good versus bad. Its survival depends on the illusion of edges. But the heart knows no edges. It expands naturally, effortlessly, not by adding more, but by letting go. Letting go of identity, letting go of needing to be right, letting go of the belief that we are alone. And in that letting go, a strange thing happens. The fear begins to dissolve, not because we fought it, but because we saw through it. What if the loneliness we carry is not a punishment, but a signal? Not a flaw in us, but a reminder, a gentle invitation to return. Return to the place that never left us, the place beneath thought, the place before division. There, beneath the noise, we sense a kind of home, not made of walls or people or roles, but of presence itself. A stillness that welcomes all things, even our most fractured parts. And the heart, wise as it is, does not reject the mind. It does not wage war against it. It simply puts it back in its proper place. A tool, not a tyrant. A servant, not a master. When the heart leads, the mind follows in harmony, not out of fear, but out of trust. And in this order, heart before thought, clarity arises. Not just mental clarity, but existential clarity. A seeing that cannot be unseen. You begin to look at the world, and instead of dividing, you connect. Instead of judging, you understand. Instead of fearing difference, you dissolve into sameness. Not sameness of form, but sameness of essence. You recognize yourself in a tree, in the eyes of a stranger, in the breeze that moves without asking permission. You feel less like a character in a story and more like the space the story appears in. This is the crossing, and it is not a journey of miles, but of moments. A single breath, a single stillness, and suddenly the abyss is gone, not bridged, not defeated, just no longer needed. And the heart, like a quiet guide, smiles without lips. It knew all along. There comes a moment, subtle, quiet, when you realize that nothing needs to be added. Not more knowledge, not more achievement, not even more healing. Just presence. Just this. Whatever this is. And when that moment arrives, the whole architecture of the mind begins to shift. The endless search, the grinding anxiety of not being there yet, it begins to loosen. You stop chasing clarity like a prize and begin to live inside it without effort, not because every question has been answered, but because the need to answer has softened. You realize you were never broken. The cracks in you were doorways. The confusion was the call, and the call was never to go somewhere else, but to wake up here, in this body, here, in this moment, here, in the silence beneath the storm. And that is where the heart lives, not in some distant ideal or higher realm, but right here, within the ordinary, within the dishes in the sink, within the tired breath at the end of the day, within the ache you thought meant you were failing. The heart doesn't need you to rise above life. It invites you to sink into it, fully, tenderly, with no armor. And in that surrender, you discover the final paradox. The closer you come to yourself, the less separate you feel from everything else. The more deeply you live in your own skin, the more spacious you become. Boundless, yet grounded. Vulnerable, yet strong. Alone, yet not lonely. This is the crossing Nisargadatta spoke of. Not a leap, but a remembering. A dissolving of the imagined line between you and the world, between the observer and the observed, between self and other, between question and answer. The mind created the abyss. It carved the space between all things, but the heart, the quiet heart, never believed in that space. It only ever waited for you to notice. And when you do, when you truly see, there is no sound, no word, no celebration, just peace, just being, just the subtle return to what was never lost. The abyss was never real. The crossing was always within, and you were always whole.